Hi, I'm Dr. Bojack from Atlantic Chiropractic in Stoneham, Mass. Your posture doctor. And today we're going to talk about detaching from technology. Okay, so with the COVID virus going on, I think everybody's more or less submerged with technology. Even our kids are doing what they're doing as far as Zoom and getting Zoom disease or Zoom irritation. I think we're all zoomed out pretty much. So first and foremost, in regards to detaching, number one, from sleeping. Okay, so right, we got our technology here, right? So my suggestion to you when you're sleeping is you don't even put them in the same room. You have these guys in another separate room, okay? And the reason being is these guys are emitting electrical signals. And if you remember, that's what we literally are, right? Is a spark of electrical signals, okay? So these guys are usually emitting roughly 900 megahertz a signal, and it has some radiation in it. So it conflicts with our signals and hence becomes detrimental. So my personal opinion is that you have a separate place in a separate room. So when you shut down at night and you detach, you put these guys in a separate place, in a separate room, whether it's on a charger, whether it's on a stand, whatever the case may be. We'll let it go. Let them be. So when you walk into your bedroom, you're totally detached from your technology. You're unplugged, and hence you can relax and pay attention what you need to pay attention to, which is maybe recapping the day with your wife or your kids, or thinking about what you're grateful for that day, or what you've accomplished and maybe what you could have did better as a consequence to your participation. Okay, but my suggestion is these critters should be in a separate room away from your bedroom, so there's no conflict as regards to this electrical signal versus our electrical signal in our brains and that power cord and that neurology. Okay, so that's our first suggestion. And biggest deal is do not sleep with this phone underneath your ear, close to your brain, under your pillow, right? I mean, there's been accidents with these phones where they've literally ignited pillows and ignited beds, right? Because they heat up so much, especially when you're charging them. So my suggestion is, again, get them out of your bedroom, get them in a separate room, so you don't cause conflict with you, that potential of your individualized brain and those signals and this technology over here. So 5 reasons to detach, okay? So the first reason, to increase interpersonal communication and your extraordinary holy relationships, okay? So that's the first one. So we get time to focus on that personal interaction, which is so vital for us as human beings, which is exactly what they're pulling us away from, right? These masks, it's wild, right? What they've accomplished with these masks is just crazy, right? You're not looking at anybody now, and when you do look at them, you can't tell if they're smiling or if they're talking or if they're gesturing to you, right? And a lot of times we're in situations where we want to take a breath, or we're pulling our mask down and we don't want anybody to see us, or we don't want to come in contact with anybody, so that they can direct us to what? Put our mask up. So there's a whole venue of circumstances that these masks are creating from, number one, a communication standpoint, and number two, in regards to our holy relationships, especially with our intimate families. Okay, so that's the number one reason why you want to detach. Okay, put it away. Again, communication, which is one-on-one, which is not being understood, which is understanding, right? For communication. Number two, extraordinary holy relationships. You got to make your deposits daily for those, right? And that downtime is an opportunity for you to make those deposits for your relationships, whether that be with your children, whether that be with your spouse, whether that be with your intimate family, aunts, relatives, or cousins, or whatever the case may be. Number two, increase creativity and laser beam focused, right? So we're kind of wired into our technology, right? So whatever that may be, when we're wired into our technology, right, doesn't give us the opportunity for an opening or space to be creative in regards of our own personal ideas, right? Because it doesn't, your mind and your thought is so focused on this technology that it doesn't give it an opportunity to expand and kind of wander and think and kind of establish its own train of thought or path of thought as a consequence. Okay? Also, obviously, when you're working with this technology, your focus is here versus your focus being on your interaction with that person, or your communication with that person, or your relationships with that person. Okay? So, and we got, like I said, we're getting a double whammy, right? Not only are we with our technology, but this mask is really starting to create some real challenges in regards to, like I say, disruption as far as our communication without a question, because we can't see facial expressions, we can't see gestures or words. We don't even know sometimes if we have eye contact with somebody, because we just lose the whole transition of that face looking at us. Okay? And then again, the same thing as far as our focus. So, again, right? Creativity and focus is the second. 3, to de-stress, decrease your anxiety, and decrease your fear. Okay? So, decrease your stress, right? So, you got all kinds of timelines with this thing. Okay? So, consequently, if you detach from this thing, it'll give you the chance to go into that parasympathetic or that rest or USA, right? That calmness, right? And that calmness, okay, is going to decrease your anxiety, and also it's going to decrease your fear. Okay? So with that poise, right, you take this away and all of a sudden you get yourself a little bit centered and you have that poise. That poise is going to detach from that anxiety or apprehension that you're getting with this, because you know you already got something to do here. You know you already have some kind of timelines here. You know you already have emails to answer and texts to mention and yada, yada, yada. Right? And fear is that you're not going to do this. Right? That old saying that, right? We exclude our life because we're so in fear of it, right? That's not a good place to live, right? So we got to move out of that fear and get a more poised, relaxed, controlled state that we got it handled. So, again, stress, anxiety, fear is going to be conquered a lot easier when you can get rid of these guys and you can just take a breath and center yourself with your family or with your immediate loved ones for that evening. Number 4, improved gratitude. Okay, so the act of living is giving. We got to be grateful for what we have, right? And we can't give unless we're grateful for what we have in regards to what we're comfortable with in regards to that, right? So to be grateful that we have of family, to be grateful we got a roof over our heads, be grateful that we have, water and food and an opportunity to change our lives and make it better and add to people's lives, right? So gratitude's huge. I personally, I just think it's great if you can have a book, and that's one of the things you do at the end of the evening is you write what you're grateful for, right? And that imposes on you and adds to you also, because you recognize that the most important things are usually not the things you can see, but the things you can't see, right? That we're grateful for, right? Having a loving family, having great friends, having opportunities, having the opportunity to grow and expand. Our own machine here is wired up for our benefit, right? For our gratitude, right? That neurology is always working for you, never against you, right? It's always trying to add, it's never trying to subtract. So it's always given, and it never asks anything in return, right? So it's looking to serve you, right? It's looking to benefit you, add some good to you. Kind of the same distinction we need to get with our purpose, right? Our purpose at the end of that day is what did we do to benefit somebody else versus benefit ourselves, right? We're always looking for the kind of like the handouts, okay? And we're looking at handouts before we even do anything, right? So if you make the action, in most instances, you'll get what you're looking for at the end. So gratitude's huge. Last one is number 5, inner peace and joy, right? So again, the game that we play is only with ourselves, right? So we set the frame, we set the tone, we set the direction, we set the intention. Hence, if you don't like what you're getting, then change what you're putting out. Okay? So if you're congruent with what you're putting out and it's something that you enjoy, you're doing, and your job is something that you enjoy doing, and when you come home at night, it's just a matter of kind of reconfirming that, right? That inner peace and joy, that USA, right? Taking that breath and just finally relaxing, let that parasympathetic neurology balance, right? Because that when you get into that parasympathetic state, which is that USA, which is poise and inner joy and inner peace, right? That's when things are balanced out, right? And when it's balanced out, you have a chance to kind of catch your breath, kind of direct your focus to inside versus outside, and realize the benefits of what you have, right? And what you've done and the contributions you made as a consequence. Okay? So this is not bringing us inside, right? This technology, all this technology brings us away from ourselves. It's almost like we got to remind ourselves there's more to us than that external component of this technology. And when we separate it from what we separate away from it, I think we start to realize, there's a spiritual aspect to our side. There's an inner aspect to our sides, and a lot of times it's even more powerful than that cerebral aspect, right? You get that innate thought, right, or that push, right, that hunch, that internal hunch, and it, more often than not, those internal hunches and that little kind of push or nudge internally is a lot more intelligent than you even thinking that challenge out or that problem out for you coming up with a solution. Okay? So again, I think we need to get ourselves to refocus on the inside versus on the outside, because I just think with all this social media and everything that's going on, there's so much that we're looking on out here and we neglect in here, which is where everything comes from, right? So again, break away, think of those 5 points. I think it'll kind of re-anchor you and re-ground you from the outside versus looking on the inside. So one of the best ways to detach from these guys is getting into nature, right? To get centered and engaged with nature, right? Go outside, experience fresh air, get the sun, let that sun soak in, get the feeling of the sun, let your mind, body, and spirit be engaged, right? Refreshed, replenished, right? We lose so much when we're in these 4 walls all day long, banging away on these guys, right? Whether it's a laptop, whether it's an iPhone, whether it's an iPad. I think we really, really, really need to set it up. I mean, once a day is just fantastic. If you even half an hour, 20 minutes, get out and walk. But if you can't do that, at least 3-4 times a week, get out and walk, right? Or run, or do whatever you do from a physical standpoint. But to engage in nature and let your body engage, including your, like you say, your mind, your body, and your spirit, all those guys as one, really anchors us, right? Back to our essence, okay, which is reflected in nature. Okay, and I think we gain so much when we re-establish that connection with nature, or that relationship with nature. Okay, and it doesn't have to be all that much, right? 15-minute walk, right? A half an hour run out there. Okay, or just go outside. Period. Right? Just get outside and just engage in the, like you say, the fresh air and the sun. So it'll totally change your paradigm, and it'll totally change the dynamics of your thought, and it'll refocus you and reset your intentions, and it'll just make you that much more powerful. Believe me, that half an hour or 45 minutes or hour will be well used by you to refocus, and you come back stronger. So the second part of that day or second part of that afternoon, you're just, you know what, you're that much more functional, and you're that much more powerful in regards to completing whatever you need to complete, and focus on whatever you need to complete in regards to your workload in that timeline. Okay? Listen, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Have a top-notch Thursday. We'd love to check you and your posture at Atlanta Chiropractic. See if you have any kind of mechanical dysfunctions or postural distortions. 781 Get Well. Talk to you soon. Have a great night.